At every stage of our lives, we carry with us an unceasing search for comfort, hope, and connection to something greater than ourselves. Often, these moments of vulnerability arise from situations that seem insurmountable, or from doubts that insist on hovering over our mind, making it difficult to see the light that still pulsates in our hearts. It is at this moment, just when everything seems to be darkening, that a message of love, hope, and protection can be the bridge that leads us back to the path of faith and inner peace. For many people, this message comes from an unexpected source, a quiet voice that resonates in the depths of the soul. A feeling that we are not alone, even if loneliness seems unbearable. It is in these difficult hours that the presence of invisible forces becomes more evident, whispering words of encouragement, of unconditional love, of a care that surpasses any rational understanding. The connection between mothers and children is one of the purest and deeply rooted in the human essence. Regardless of distance, time, or circumstances, the bond that unites these two beings is capable of crossing borders and physical limits, bringing a sense of security even in the most turbulent hours. Often, in a silent struggle against adversity, it is the memory of a mother's love that is born in the heart, like a light that never goes out. This light can manifest itself in countless ways. A delicate word, an invisible advice, a silent prayer, or even a message that comes from the deepest of the universe, charged with positive energies and divine protection. There is something magical about the existence of these messages, in the way they seem to be tailored to open the doors of the heart, bringing comfort, hope, and strength to move forward. The beauty of these words lies precisely in their simplicity and their strength to touch our most genuine emotions. When a mother finds a way to communicate her love even after her physical departure, she reveals that the connection they share transcends space and time. It is a message that comes from the heart, charged with hope, with a promise that true love never dies, and that even in its absence, the spirit of care and protection remains alive, radiating light on those in need. It is a way of opening the heart to realize that often, what we seek most is just a word of affection, a confirmation that we are being guided and supported by invisible forces, which act in a subtle but powerful way. These messages from the angels, which seem to have been made especially for each one of us, can come in many forms, but they always carry an essence of love, faith, and hope that renews strength, even in the most difficult moments. The universe, in some mysterious way, conspires for these messages to reach us at the right time, reinforcing that there is an invisible presence by our side, caring, guiding, and protecting. They are words charged with light and positive energy, capable of transforming our darkest days into moments of renewed hope. And it is precisely this special connection, this bridge between heaven and earth, that reminds us that no matter how much we face difficulties, we are never completely alone. Our essence is permeated by a love that transcends the barriers of the physical world, a love that manifests itself in words, gestures, and the vibration of a message that gently opens our hearts to believe again in the power of good. Thus, every message that brings the touch of a mother or the energy of angels is an opportunity to reconnect with faith, with hope, and with the certainty that we are always supported by a greater force, which works silently and lovingly for our dreams and for our well-being. When delving into the essence of these messages, it is noticed that they carry a vibration that goes beyond the simple gesture of speaking or writing. They become instruments of emotional healing, capable of relieving wounds that often remain invisible to ordinary eyes. When a mother sends a message to her child, she does so not only with words, but with the energy of an ancestral love, a force that crosses time and space to offer comfort and protection. This vibration, in turn, acts as a bridge between the spiritual and the material, helping to soften the pains and doubts that we carry in our hearts. In this sense, the message is not just a communication, It is a kind of invisible embrace that envelops the spirit, inviting him to feel welcomed, even in the most intense storms. Still, it is important to note that understanding such messages requires sensitive openness and keen perception. Often they come in moments of inner silence, when the mind becomes quiet from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and we are able to capture the subtlety of their presence. It is in this moment of tranquility that a new dimension of love is discovered, one that is not limited to pronounced words or visible actions, but that resonates in the frequency of the universe. The experience of receiving a well-intentioned message, especially from a departed mother, requires the heart to be receptive to this type of communication. For just as a flower blooms in the presence of the sun, the spirit needs an inner openness to recognize these delicate signs, which often manifest themselves in the form of a sense of peace, a quiet dream, or an intuition that surprises. Another facet that deserves attention is how these messages can act as catalysts for internal change. Think of the energy they carry as a kind of seed, as it germinates in the fertile soil of the heart. It promotes a silent transformation that strengthens self-esteem and reiterates confidence in divine protection. In this way, the message works as a stimulus for each individual to rediscover their inner strength, even in the face of adversities that seem insurmountable. This experience of renewal, in turn, encourages the person to dive deeper into their essence, promoting a more conscious connection with their spirituality. Thus, each message received acts as a reminder that hope is a living force, capable of flourishing in the midst of the most adverse conditions. In addition, it is essential to recognize that understanding these messages also requires a certain sensitivity to perceive the details they carry. Small clues, such as a gentle breeze, a song that seems to have been tailor-made, or a familiar face in a dream, can be signs in these moments of connection with the invisible. These subtleties often teach us to be more attentive to what pulses around us, turning our routine into an opportunity for silent dialogue with the universe. Thus, noticing and valuing these details becomes an act of self-love, since it demonstrates the willingness to welcome what the heart attracts and what the soul wants to capture. Over time, this practice of sensitivity nurtures a greater confidence that the messages, while discreet, carry infinite potential for healing, hope, and renewal. Finally, it is important to understand that by receiving a message from a mother or an angel, we are being asked to expand our consciousness beyond what we can see and touch. They invite us to develop a broader view of life, where the invisible is as real as the tangible. This awakening to a reality beyond the physical fosters a perspective that love knows no bounds, and that the strength of a spiritual connection is able to transform doubts into certainties. In the process, we learn that faith is not an absence of fear, but a constant presence that helps us grow, accept what we cannot change, and trust in the strength of the universe that works silently but ceaselessly for our souls. Thus, each message is not just a word or sign, but an opportunity to evolve, to strengthen hope, and to realize that even in physical absence, true love remains alive and active, fueling our journey of discovery and faith. As we reflect on this journey of discovery, it becomes evident that what permeates every message, every sign, and every gesture of love is a deeper understanding of our essence and how we are intricately connected to invisible forces that transcend the materiality of the world. These experiences act as delicate threads that, when intertwined, reveal a tapestry of meanings beyond what reason can immediately grasp. It is as if, by opening our eyes to the subtlety of these manifestations, we begin to perceive a network of energies that surrounds us, protecting and guiding without us needing to fully understand their mechanisms. Thus, the connection with these messages presents itself as an invisible bridge, sustained by an understanding that challenges the linearity of time and space, inviting us to navigate a dimension where love, hope, and faith become inexhaustible sources of strength. Innovating in the perception of these messages is often an exercise in silent and sensitive listening to the nuances of the universe. Instead of looking for concrete explanations, we learn to rely on intuition, on the subtle perception of the signals that are sent to us in an almost ethereal form. This confidence is like a seed that, when planted in the soil of the soul, begins to germinate in the form of renewed hope and quiet courage. Here, it becomes essential to recognize that this delicate exchange of energies requires of us a more attentive look, a willingness to welcome what often does not have a definite form, but which pulsates with a vibrant intention to guide and protect us. Thus, the potential of these messages is revealed in the ability to transform the way we interpret our reality, promoting a broader and more sensitive reading of the subtleties of the cosmos. At the same time, these experiences invite us to a deeper dive into the understanding that our spiritual evolution depends on an ever greater attunement to these invisible signals. They function as internal maps, guiding our actions and feelings in a way that often goes unnoticed in the rush of everyday life. In this scenario, we learn to value the present moment as an opportunity for genuine connection with the subtle, strengthen faith in what escapes direct vision, and above all, develop a relationship of trust with the flow that sustains us. It is in this movement of openness that messages cease to be mere outward reminders and begin to integrate into the innermost fabric of who we are, cultivating a broader and more receptive awareness of our own transformations. By consolidating this understanding, it becomes evident that what has been revealed to us is not just a matter of receiving signals, but of realizing that we are all immersed in a network of possibilities that manifests itself in both calm and turbulence. There is an implicit call for us to learn to navigate these rivers of energy more harmoniously, recognizing the messages as manifestations of a loving intelligence that works silently yet ceaselessly for our well-being and growth. This vision encourages us to strengthen serenity in the face of mystery, to break down barriers of resistance and to open our hearts to that which reveals itself as an inexhaustible source of hope. Thus, the broader understanding of these connections prepares us to welcome the last stage of this reflection with the expectation that, in the end, the pieces of the puzzle will fit together in a clearer and more comforting way, revealing the greatness of a love that never stopped caring for us.